Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're gonna do a healing show on certain devices like the pulse electromagnetic frequency mat and things going into that. And we have a guest today, Shawn Bibby, and I'm Sean Bond. And we're gonna have some fun today. So let us
Definitely.
know if you have questions in the comment as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what is this thing going into.
Okay, can do. So I'm Sean Bibby. So I study Chinese medicine, and I'm actually in my shop right now. But I've been studying Chinese medicine for a while, and I'm a licensed acupuncturist. And I'm coming on here today to talk about pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, what it is, how it works, and how pulsed electromagnetic fields are interacting with us all the time. So I'm actually a sales rep for like the IMRS2000, but there's just so many tools, and we're going to talk about them today and how they work.
Hmm. Okay, cool. And what is the IMRS 2000?
All right, so the IMRS2000 here. Well, I actually got it right there. It's in my clinic, but it's a pulsed electromagnetic field mat, and the thing that makes this one special is that it's a biofeedback unit as well, and a whole body mat. And it uses sound therapy and color therapy to create a full body coherence. And it uses the low intensity spectrum. So we're working on the cellular level. We're not trying to shock the system, but we're trying to entrain coherency and resonancy. So you can start to feel patterns and also just heal your body. Because there's so much, if you're like me and you're living in the city, there's just distortion patterns everywhere.
Right.
This is a shout out from Toronto, Canada, by the way.
Um, I don't. Uh, I don't know if we can get a close up of it or anything. If not, that's fine. Uh, yeah, I don't know how hard that will be.
Yeah. Well,
But or you can just like go in the background and kind of hold up some of the components for us.
totally.
And because I've experienced pulse electromagnetic frequency mats, and I'm not sure if it's the same model or not, but it kind of looks similar. Uh, so I got a little bit of experience with that. But I got some questions for you on that. So sound and color therapy, is that through the eye mask?
Bingo. So that's like one of the very needed add-on is they call it the brain, but it's the eye mask. That's correct. And why that one's important is the more senses that you can entrain simultaneously, the bigger field of coherence that you're going to achieve. And not to mention that we're totally visually dominant as a species. Like I'd say just instinctively we fall on our eyes quite a bit more than our other senses. And so it's like one of the biggest parts of our brains. And so if you can get that firing with these coherent patterns, it just helps you get meditative faster. Like what's a delta brainwave feel like? What's a theta brainwave feel like? What is REM? Where you got delta combined with theta. Just trying to know what it is so you can intellectually feel it and experience it. And not to mention the actual healing benefits that come along inherently.
Right. So in the eye mask, does it use and for the one I've experienced, it uses red, blue, and green colors, and you can change them, and they flash and they help the brain get into alpha and even deeper and theta and deeper states of consciousness. Is that how yours works?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a little different. So this one, you pick the color. So depending on what kind of color therapy you want to do red, you want to go violet or yellow, you kind of choose yourself. Lately, I've really been enjoying yellow. I find just in this, well, getting close to the solstice, It's very bright and invigorating, but there's also programs that change. So it'll switch from one color to the next color to the next color and kind of keep the brain guessing. That's one part, is kind of like keeping the brain guessing. So it's trying to figure out the pattern. And you're kind of carrot in the sticking yourself the whole time, but in a healing pattern. When did you try, Shawn? When did you try the PEMF?
I used to have one for a while. I've tried actually 3 different ones, but like all the other ones are older. I don't remember the model, what it's called, and it had multiple settings on it for different illnesses in it. Is that the type you got?
Yeah, there's different base settings that it has. They call it like the eye guide, but I usually just fiddle around with what I feel like doing.
Right. Yeah. How does that work? Is it because the one I used, it allowed you to like scroll through options of like named illnesses and stuff, and then settings of like how much intensity?
Exact same, because this has an intensity option. And so just everyone here's listening, if you've ever tried to investigate PEMF mats, they have low intensity and high intensity mats. And this broke my brain when I was trying to first get it, because they have different price points, and just my naive brain at the time was just so addicted to high intensity is better. But this one is in fact a low intensity mat, like intended to actually energize the cells. And the high intensity ones, they kind of have the function of, they'll literally make your skin shake and your muscles tremble, which can have some healing function in the like the purgative side of things, but it's definitely not energizing you on a cellular level. Yeah, I really thought I needed a high intensity mat, and I realized low intensity was the way to go for field entrainment.
So tell us how it works. In my experience with it, it had like 3 major points of like these field coils that made a
Yes.
big toroidal field and then expand into the body of the person. Yeah, it looks like that. And yeah, sorry about. And it would then pulse that. It's like a big frequency, electromagnetic frequency field massage kind of thing, and that envelops. It feels really good. Can you
It
tell us a
does.
little bit more about from your experience?
I probably use it like 5 or 6 days a week myself. I used to use it twice a day, like every day of the week. And just for everyone listening, because I use it in my practice, because that's who's this thing's really good for. It's really good for those chiropractors, the physiotherapists, the massage therapists, but also people on the spiritual side that are trying to make a healthcare practice, but they need something to gravitate around. But yeah, so we're kind of talking about what's inside of it, and this one's actually gradiented. So there's two copper coils at the top, 2 copper coils in the middle, and 2 larger copper coils at the feet. So you have a slightly lower intensity up by the head and a higher intensity down by the feet, because the brain is much more sensitive than your feet to these electromagnetic waves. And correct. So that's what's happening. It's actually pulsing at frequencies that we choose. So the whole body mat is very important, because like you can get devices. Have you ever seen these like small devices that kind of cover like an arm or the leg, or you stick a body part in it, which can be really great. And literally, it like, have you heard about how they use it for bone union fractures?
For remote viewing? Oh well, I used it for I used it for that. I used it for vision questing, soul retrieval. It amplified it like a million times, and then allowed me to go deep in meditation. So like when I had it, I would use it every time I meditate.
So literally, it's this tool, and it's so cool. Like I would find, because I'm going to vary off a little bit right now, but the light entrainment tool, and then there's some other tools that I use. It's kind of like entrainment for like the beginning of seeing auras, because it's literally getting your brain. Because the cool thing is like you start to see, you might be using yellow, and your brain sees red and blue, or you see green and purple. So what's interesting, it's kind of like it's how your brain is interpreting the frequency. And then because I have some other tools, like you know how like some people talk about the Lucia light and
Yeah,
like a
I have one of
this
those
is,
too.
oh, you do. So like this is like a headband version, which is it's
Oh,
really
nice.
good. Yeah, this thing's dope. It really is dope. This is called a neurovisor. I should get the link for that too.
Mm,
But this one's good for in person. But the cool thing about these light technologies, and especially like Lucia light, because when it's shining on a person and you're witnessing it from a third person perspective, all of a sudden you're starting to see the colors around them. And then you're like, holy shit, I'm actually seeing, which is, it kind of, it's an experience that once you've had, you can't really take it away.
yeah,
But
yoga for the third eye, amplified ability to see more colors, is like strengthen the aura when I use the Lucia light. It also would bring in vision questing and portals and like going through portals and seeing other places, sometimes other beings. Yeah, I like that stuff.
oh yeah, yeah. So full body mat, super important. Like if you're looking at a pulsed electromagnetic field mat, you definitely want a full body mat. And there's actually only like 3 brands that are any really good. Like right now, it's like the IMRS2000, the Beamers, and there's another one I can't remember right now because like they even they sell them PEMF mats at Costco now, and I would say they're actually unhealthy for you because they're literally taking that 110 frequency, the dirty electricity, the polluted electricity from the wall, and more often than not, just turning it on and off through your body. So, you need the proper technology that actually steps it down and puts it into what your body can actually take in. So, a bit of science behind it.
You have a healthy amount and frequency range. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's very important because it blows my mind sometimes with some of these knockoff mats, and it's literally just dirty electricity that you're putting in the grounding mats too. A lot of the like grounding mats that people have are literally just they're like an electric blanket that's just kind of like putting in 110 power into the body. Um, Tough for the cells because what we're literally trying to re-entrain the body with the pulsing of the magnetic fields. Because everyone already knows about the Schumann resonance because we talk about it all the time. That the Earth has its natural background magnetic frequency. And so like this background magnetic frequency is training our cells to be in step with it all the time. But because we live in fraud cities or we live in the concrete jungle or we work in a steel shed or we're in a hospital that's got crazy layers upon layers, sometimes it doesn't penetrate very well. And we have all those counter frequencies that are in the gigahertz range. And so those are microwaves. And it really throws our circadian rhythm off. And we don't know our timing to like local time, Earth time, galactic time, universal time. We kind of get out of sync with that and get into the fraud corporation time.
Mm, true. Yeah, and you said so other grounding mats don't work well. What type of grounding mat works well, by the way?
So, okay, so like basically, if it's under like $5,000, it's probably not have good, like probably doesn't have good components in it, and it's probably a cheaply made device from China. But there's a guy called Bryant Myers who's actually in the shit. Do you remember what Bruce Lipton's school was called? Like it kind of started up like a university.
I don't, but, it went into genetics. What?
Okay, I remember. So he kind of made like this quantum university. But there's this guy named Bryant Myers who kind of wrote the book on PEMF, and he's got some really good videos. If you guys want to just understand how the actual electrical mechanics work, like Ampere's law, Maxwell's equations, all this stuff, how it actually creates the field, he's got it. But he's got all these videos of actually taking the mats apart and looking inside them, and you see, like sometimes like they use coils like just copper rings that are like this big, and so you just know like these copper coils are like very large. So when you have magnetic induction going through them, or a current that is creating magnetic induction, a lot of these things have these little rings in them where they're going to make a magnetic field that's this tiny, which could go through
Wow.
the skin, but it's not necessarily going to enter your bones. And we know how important your bone marrow is.
True. Yeah. So, what are the kind of things people can benefit from that you've heard of in electromagnetic frequency pulse mats? Because I've experienced a lot of good things. A lot of pain just goes away. The heart opens up and it strengthens the electromagnetic field of the heart. Releases things out of the body like a million times faster. Uh, like it's like a it kind of also gets energy moving from stagnation, gets rid of inflammation. What kind of
Yeah.
things have you seen or heard about, and the things that it's good at
So
accomplishing?
the best part is this specific technology is built to empower a single cell. So with the idea that you can make one cell healthy, you can make the whole body healthy. So there's two kind of functions of how this really helps healing the body. And the first is kind of the direct electrical energizing. So just so you know, just like we have an aura, every single cell in your body has an electrical membrane. And so they call it like a transmembrane potential. So it's basically that electrical current that keeps the outside out and the inside in. And half of the cell's energy, half of your entire energy just goes to maintain your barrier. And like half of your ATP is going out just to do that. So when you're doing this, first you're charging up the body. So the electrical gradients are charged. Then your body has extra energy to repair itself, take out the garbage, etc. And not to mention re-energize your blood. So I'm gonna grab something. I don't know if it'll show up. I think it'll show up on camera. So just looking at blood, because this is what I always show to my patients, is so here's like just a rough picture. You can kind of see that okay. And this here is blood clotting. So someone with clotted blood. And over here is blood 8 minutes after using the magnetic field. Or sorry, the PEMF mat. And so why this is kind of important is like you start to learn the electrical conductivity of your body. Following me? So essentially, so your blood cells that are going through your body are all negatively charged. So what's important to know is that negative charge is an electron donor. And just on the inside of the blood membrane, it's positively charged. And positive charge is an electron stealer. So whenever someone has a chronic illness or their body's trying to heal something, your blood's going and it's taking its negative charges, which is an electron donor, and it's giving them away. So Shawn, and everybody listening, what happens when you try to put two negative charges together?
Repel or attract?
So like two of the same type of charge will repel each other. So all your blood's negatively charged. So when your blood cells are charged up, they'll never stick to each other. They will never blood clot because they have their own barrier that's naturally repulsing them. But because they're constantly donating their electrons to heal issues within the body, anyone with a chronic illness, their blood loses its electrical conductivity. And their blood loses its chi in that form of electrical
Good
conductance.
point.
And
Nice.
so literally, other than pumping, your blood's actually moving through electrical conductivity.
Yeah, free flowing fast, and this gets rid of inflammation and gets rid of, is it antioxidant?
So that's the thing. So when you can look at the electrical conductivity of blood, or just so basically pH, like pH 7.4 is actually 0. And once you get into alkaline, you're getting into negative charge. And when you're getting into acidic, you're getting into positive charge in the millivolts. So basically, when you're acidic, your electron stealing range. And then when you're alkaline, your electron donating range. But it doesn't, one's not better than the other. There's certain areas of your body that's supposed to be acidic, and there's certain areas of your body that are supposed to be alkaline.
Right.
So electrical conductivity, very important. But then there's brain entrainment aspects. So like you charged up all 70 trillion cells, right? So you charge up your body, but now you're using the coherence of the brain waves, and you set it to delta brain waves, 0 to 4 hertz. And now you're getting a person into a deep sleep. So anyone with sleep disorders, which is like a huge cause of chronic illness, so you put them in a delta sleep, you get into that meditative space, and then your cerebral spinal fluid, your cranial sacral flow starts pumping. And now all of a sudden your brain's cleaning itself from all those toxic dream worlds, all those built up neurotransmitters, all the proteins that it doesn't need anymore. And it's getting them the fuck out of your brain. And that causes, so that's where it's good for Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, anyone with, dementia, because it's literally help washing the brain and detoxify at a cellular level.
Mm.
It's great.
Yeah. I saw detox settings on our one. What have you noticed with that? So it brings the body to relax and rest and relaxation, parasympathetic nervous system of out of stress and fight or flight mode.
I get a mix. Like sometimes when I use it, sometimes I get this high boost of energy, but sometimes it wants to make me get into a regenerative cycle. So if it really puts me into a parasympathetic mode, it's like, okay, I just want to sit around and regenerate a little bit, kind of be a bit more introspective. But yeah, it's really, really helped me. I don't think I would have been able to run my shop here as well, run my clinic, and just stay in Toronto. Because I'm from a small town. And then I was living in British Columbia on a small off-the-grid island. And I went from one extreme to the other extreme, which is how yin yang works. One extreme just transforms over.
Right. What are the other health benefits that you've seen in your clients and yourself and others with these?
Mm-hmm. So first off, the first thing I notice right away is improved sleep. So people come in and then they get a really good sleep the very first night. And because we're looking, so now we're looking on a Chinese medicine level. So we're looking through density. So we're looking through chi, fluid, into physicality, into the bones. And so first things first, the energetic level always shifts first. That's where we get the sleep, we get the calming of emotions, and people get a good rest.
Awesome. Does it affect your dreams? It used to affect mine.
Well, it's hard to tell anymore. I think it definitely has, because I've been writing down my dreams for six years now, and it's just hard to remember time when I didn't. But definitely, so I'm dreaming every night. So it's definitely helped with the remembering, I think.
Mm.
It's not the remembering
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it made it clearer and more HD, and remembering it was a lot easier, especially if you journal and wake up. Uh, yeah, and that goes with healing the gut brain and making it so it drops the negative energy built up in there. So yeah, I went into it triggering detox and the organs flushing out and releasing negative attachment, and it amplifies releasing negative energy a million times. Do you know anything about it affecting parasites in the body?
Well, 100%. Because you're basically, as you re-electrify things, you're trying to get your body's frequencies and its organs, its organizational centers, back in their natural frequency range. So basically, if you can start energizing the body, it can start fixing itself, start regenerating, and then all of a sudden you can kind of get your stomach fire back or your stomach acid back. So like if you have your stomach acid, like why do we even have stomach acid? It's literally to break things down, and it's such a big electron stealer. Just so you know, that's how it works. Your stomach breaks things down by ripping the electrons out of them, because it's such positively charged that it pulls things out, and that's how it breaks them molecularly apart. But the thing is, if your stomach is healthy, it's one of your first lines of defense. Anything that goes into your stomach, it's going to break down. That's not supposed to be there. And it's only when your stomach's not working properly, then things move through the stomach into your duodenum, and now you have stuff in your upper tract of your intestine that's moving deeper into your intestine, and the pH starts changing.
Mm.
So if you can regulate your pH where it's supposed to be what it is, your microbiomes will live in a much healthier environment. Because
Yeah, it also felt like it helped hormones because it made it way easier to create happiness for me. Or do you know anything about
sleep, man. Like when we're not yin yang and up and down like crazy, we get into a natural sun, night, moon cycle. You know, you feel calm, you feel balanced, you don't have these wild up and downs, which means literally the electrical minerals in your body have balanced out, and the hormones are literally balancing out. Not to mention, like, we can have old hormones stuck in our cerebral spinal fluid from, you know, these are just essentially signature frequencies or blueprints from dreaming realms that could be from our being children or decades ago. And so if you can get that moving, you're going to clear that out. And then that's going to balance your hormones, because you don't have something that's a signature frequency match for being 10 or whatever it is.
Sure, sure. I also noticed it makes the meditations I do to get to a different state of consciousness much quicker on reaching that, and also give me more energy. Do you want to have anything you want to say on that?
Definitely. So you're talking about the coherent state. So we've heard all the terms forever, like frequency, resonance, coherence, and literally harmonics. And just a little just timbit out here, because we all know about harmonics, but the body and the body in general all operates under 0 to 100 hertz, unless weird gamma things are going on. And the brain generally operates between the 0 and 30 hertz range, excluding gamma and that special activity. But, and for anyone listening, hertz just means cycles per second. So 4 hertz means 4 per second. It's just a frequency measurement. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, sorry. I was getting about harmonics. So literally, we all know about the Schumann resonance. And so, like, whatever you call it, the heartbeat of the earth, the background electromagnetic frequency. Well, if our brain waves are operating at the same frequency as the earth and its harmonics, which are in the same frequency bandwidth and range, we're going to ride that wave. And then all of a sudden, you're riding into the earth's dreaming mind. And that's going to affect your dreams. Like, hands down, it's going to affect all your creative processes because you're tapping into her natural bandwidth. Versus, just for anyone knows, like, you know, that our phones, the old household phones and everything, are in the gigahertz range. And gigahertz, like, you know, when you have like a 6.4 gigahertz phone or whatever, that's billion. That's a billion hertz. That is a microwave. And it's just way beyond. And microwaves create radiation, they create heat. But that's way beyond what our body is trained to listen to. And so when we, you know, we get on this, we get into the right frequency, we get into the human resonance, earth frequencies, let's just say 0 to 30 hertz, it's naturally going to open up skills because you're on the frequency bandwidth that we've been trained with for millions of years.
Nice. Yeah, and have you noticed gaining more energy after using it too?
Definitely. Because you know what I would say? It's kind of helped me. One, it's helped to stabilize emotions. And through stabilizing emotions, it's helped me to stabilize diet better. And as it's helped me stabilize diet better, it's helped me to gain muscle mass. So just through that balancing process, it just helped me have much greater rhythms to
Oh
consistently.
yeah, I remember there was a weight loss setting on the one I had. That's crazy. That's good stuff.
Well, because it works the other way too. Because like usually when you know compulsive eating, all these habit patterns are just caused by like rapid rises and falls. Like it's just the manic highs and the depressing lows. And if you can cut out those highs and lows and find a nice gradient that's gentle and not jagged, then you're going to have less of those compulsive desires. You're not going to, you know, binge eat as much as before. Instead, just eating with family or friends or whatever it is. But it really helps with those patterns. You know, it's just like grounding. Being out in nature is going to do the same thing for you, unless you do it excessively. But it's really good for when you're in the city or just trying to enhance and get a bit of extra gain.
Yeah, yeah. You said grounding. Yeah, I noticed it amplifies grounding quite a bit, and it frees up the flow that's like stagnant in my root and my legs when I use it. Whew, that helps a lot and release a lot of the built-up energy and negative emotions, etc. Um,
Tell me, Shawn, tell me what kind of tools you did since you started growing. Like just because you used to be, well, you're a RMT, aren't you? Or a trained RMT, right?
yeah, licensed massage therapy, cranial sacral therapy, myofascia, trigger point, Reiki master, all anything I can learn really, and then got certified in. Yeah, it's like I got the Lucia Light certification and the thing for is it? It's God, my brain right now.
Yeah, we got
I need the
forest
frequency
fire
mat. That
here.
I've heard it. I remember that the mat amplified my brain. I don't have one right now, and I'm in New Mexico, but used to. Um, what was it? It was the hyperbaric chamber. I got certified in that and a bunch of other things.
Did you have one?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was good. It was good. The oxygen overloading was really nice. Uh, so recommend that. Got a oxygen reproduction machine as well, But yeah, the back to the mat. Yeah, it seemed to improve brain power and memory. Do you know anything on that in the science of it?
Again, back to memory, and memory is a complex subject depending on which levels you're looking at it, because memory is inherently holographic, because every part of your body is still going to hold a reflection of itself. So it's going to hold some sort of memory going on somewhere. But if we go into simpler terms, let's say it's held in the brain, or the bigger part of the template is there. It's literally the more byproducts you have building up in your brain, the worse your memory is going to get. And what's the biggest thing that blocks people's memory out? Sleep. It's always sleep.
It's also found there's a electromagnetic component because the brain doesn't just store the memory. It's like they used to do experiments in space where the first astronauts would lose their mind and go insane and forget each other, like forget their humanity. Someone would start eating each other, but they realized there was like a frequency from the Earth that's required with the Schumann resonance, and they start generating that on the ship, and that gets rid of space madness.
Oh shit,
Um,
space mat.
so, so they've lost all ability to remember things. So there's like a big electromagnetic field with the brain, and since it's pulse electromagnetics,
Because
it seems to
that's
massage and lets it flow easier and faster. What you were saying?
because that's the two parts. The one, it's actually training the circadian rhythm. So they had to install these on like the space stations that we know of. Probably every space station actually as a form of technology. But because you basically need to simulate what your biological skin suit frequency it's entrained to. So essentially without that, the stomach doesn't know when to do stuff. Because all your organs don't know when to do stuff and they get out of whack. But it's also a magnetic field. So it's moving through you, and magnetic fields are one form of electricity that will be pushing and pulling electrons. So they're actually charging up the body. And one thing, like deep centers of your body, like your brain, your bones, like these are deep protected aspects of your body. And a lot of their function relies on these energetics to charge them up. And then you're else not, you start losing your mind.
True. And it helps me. It helped me remember, and I would use all the time before, after like massage school and call classes for things and things that I wanted to remember more easily, and so it made it easier to just remember it, just like through intake once. It also
Yeah.
helped me get to
I still take notes.
this yeah, yeah, this state of consciousness the military goes into that's like beyond time and space, the absolute. And once I reach that meditation, everything speeds up in what I'm trying to achieve, and like healing, wholeness, growth, raising the frequency. It's called the absolute. Uh, what's your experience with it in changing your state of consciousness when going through it and with your clients?
Okay, it definitely does. But I want to just share in like just a thought I've had recently, which is kind of along this lines. Just when you're talking about reaching the absolute, um, just recently I was just thinking about the electromagnetic spectrum, and essentially how they're very, very, they're sub-Hertzian waves. So basically less than 1 hertz per second. And some of these background magnetic frequencies of the galaxy and the universe, we don't even know how far away they're pulsed. So you could be inside one of these waves. Let's say this wave is transformed into a particle and you're inside of it. You could be inside one of these waves and not even know how that you're inside of one. You cannot even see its barriers. You could be inside the stillness and still not know you're inside of another greater organism or structure. That's how big and vast some of these waves are. And just that we're talking about this stuff, that it encourages this kind of coherent thinking. But yeah, it really helps me. Like if I need to get theta or delta, which helps me to get to my own stillness, it's very helpful.
Right. And I used to use the mat all the time in meditation, especially since my day was demanding and I had to see a bunch of people and help people and heal and
You're bringing
look
back
after
memory.
people. Yeah. So imagine that it made my meditation so much faster and me be able to build up power and positive emotions and clear things, so to where I just need to do it like for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something. This would help so many people like that just barely have time to do this type of thing,
You just said a good
like,
word
or
there.
meditate. And just like to where in between watching your kids or going to work, or like if you just got out of a stressful situation or a day, or you want to calm down and just release and then just make your whole day better, or you have to do something and you have to get in a good state quick. And yeah, like getting resolved from arguments or disagreements and drama, and just need to get rid of all the heaviness on your shoulders. It made it so it just went away in just a few minutes for me. It
Just
just made
detach,
such a big difference.
detach in that
Yep.
4 minutes, whatever it is. And you said a good line, which I want to like emphasize. You said build up power, because like building up power is so important when you want to do any of these skills that we're striving for. Because so often, instead of building up power, we kind of like trickle it out and trickle it out and trickle it out. Well, if you don't have that power gradient, how are you going to bust through a membrane that requires a certain amount of energy? And so it's building up that power so that like when we get on a social media binge, it's sucking our power away little by little by little. And if we can build that up, that's where we can actually make the magic, because we can get through a membrane that requires a build up of power.
Yeah, and it's a needed time, especially if you're dealing with drain and all of this coming at you of overwhelm and anxiety situations and stress. Being able to detach that all leads to enlightenment, but also your day's better. It's like taking off these heavy coats. A lot of people just want to go on vacation all the time from all the work and stress that they got going on. I found when I used this, I didn't need vacation as much, because it was like a little mini vacation that just got you to the state. What I've realized is people, when they want vacation, they're mostly exhausted. They're drained, they're overwhelmed with like yin, like implosive emotions, or exhaustion, emotion buildup, overwhelm in the body. And yeah, if they go on vacation for a while, yeah, you're gonna relax and enjoy yourself for like weeks, months, or whatever you have, and then eventually you're gonna get bored, and you're gonna realize that like I once you get your energy back and you're not exhausted, you let humans like doing things. They like grinding, becoming their greater self, making their life better, opportunities, experience, building wealth for themselves, and supporting their future moments. So that's why they do it. So
For sure.
if you don't have exhaustion and you have tools like this mat that help get rid of exhaustion quickly, then you stay on your top capability. You stay on your grind, and you don't falter, and you keep making your life stronger, better, and more accomplished. It's great.
You can develop wave coherence. So every day is a wave. Every experience that you do, every time you do the same act over again, you create a wave. And each time you do it, it's going to overlap that wave and overlap that wave till you've done it 100 times or 1,000 times. And all those lined up waves are going to give you a wave coherence, which is going to be very, very strong because you have a constructive sine wave. And this just helps you get through so you can just do that day over again. Like you might know, sometimes you might be having a hard day and you don't want to do that day over again, but it's going to give you the energy to go back in and build up that wave coherence so you can get to the next step of what you got to do.
True. Yeah, and we're always like looking, what's that next big step that I need to get to, and as we do that, it's like with jobs and the hierarchy, and even if you work for yourself, which I recommend, but if you don't, like, and you're still on that grind, then the people that elevate, that get the promotions, are the people that can handle more stress, can take on more work and do more things. And when you're growing in that way, you build yourself, surround yourself with tools and capabilities and things that make everything easier, faster, and support you to be able to resolve and transmute and detach that stress and purify the organs and electrically, because all these emotions are energy in motion, anchored to the different organs and the hormones and the flow through our blood. And electromagnetic pulse massage frequency tech is one of the vast ways to do this, and this
Massage
goes to
frequency
building
tech.
tools.
That's a way to call it.
Exactly. Now, besides love and amplification of like happiness, I've noticed it also amplifies the building generators, feeling safe for positive emotions, like in the sacral and throughout the organs,
Yeah.
so that, because the organs will communicate with the person with negative emotions or positive emotions. Negative emotions if it needs attention, and then when they get enough attention, they clear and purify, and then start emitting positive emotions. And I've noticed that this device helps with that. What's your information on that kind of thing with the
Sounds
positive
like
emotion?
totally like sacred, like sacral chakra. You're talking gut energy. And just for anyone listening, like your gut makes 90% of your serotonin. It's making all a little factory down there. And as it works with the nervous system, it's naturally going to entrain it stronger and stronger. But sometimes like that center grows, you're going to feel safer. You're going to be able to build more nutrients, but also like kind of like that authoritative feeling, like being able to do business and interact with other people. That center is so powerful. Like when you got to deal business and you can't be all heart, you got to be a little bit of brain, a little bit of this, and not just all open arms, because some people can't handle it. Like some people can't handle the heart open full time, and you're going to lose them. And you got to just kind of use a little bit of the mind and sacral chakra or solar plexus.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to make a system that helps people to optimize their serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin generators to a max output, and it's harmonized, nutrient rich in the system, and supplying, and it's nurturing, and to where it's resilient and stays on. And with my experience with this mat, man, that made things way faster.
Because what I think happens is because we're going down the road of regeneration. We're learning about stem cells. We're learning about our own personal stem cells, how to generate stem cells, how to regenerate the body instead of surgically operating. And when you regenerate, your body's naturally going to start building the proper serotonin levels, the proper oxytocin levels, the proper hormones. And then you're going to intuitively know. Eventually, you're not going to have to focus intent. You're going to intuitively know and just be able to do it.
Nice.
You still have to practice, but that's the idea. Your body will naturally magnetize itself and just go towards what's more beneficial.
True.
We got a
Yeah,
long way.
there's all these. Go ahead.
No, we got a long way to go in our little evolution, and just the more we regenerate, the more we activate epigenetically all our memories, all our past lives, all the greater star connections, yada yada yada.
Yeah. Evolving constantly, ascending, growing, making ourselves better, and then that finding that that does pass down genetically. So you're supporting your future generations as you heal.
With your children.
And I also found like we sometimes inherit things in our DNA that are even after the genetic inheritance, like in our inception from our father and mother, because it's like an antenna and it receives updates.
Okay,
So
absolutely.
I don't hear enough scientists going into this, but it like as you heal yourself, your DNA, you heal. You can essentially extend your healing to your entire DNA lineage, past and future. So big things in that.
The fetus in the womb healing. It's amazing.
Yeah, true, and it's the infinite manager for your steps of what your possible future would be, and healing your 0 points of your fetus, your dream space in the fetus, the infinite consciousness of it, and adding it to your counsel, making it so it works well for you and is not incurred because it does get targeted, especially by time travelers, assholes.
Well, just think
There,
about this. Yeah, keep going.
go ahead.
Fucking time
And
dicks.
yeah, there's all these like horrors we can have trust fall into yourself and faith as we like lie on this mat, and step by step it just builds ourselves to our great better, greater perceived state that we want, that we write, that we want to achieve in our programming. And this is a great way to program yourself. Can you talk a little bit about the programming?
Yeah, so like we say the word matrix all the time. You know, matrix shell, it's kind of just another layer of something. And we're talking about the fetus in the womb a little bit. And then that's where you really start to think about the matrices, which become matrices, the matrices that we're in. Because literally, so we're in a little tiny fetus, and our body's pumping out this tiny little magnetic field. And if we weren't in another matrix of our mother's womb, our body would be imprinted by all sorts of different things trying to travel through it and change how our body evolves. So we're this tiny little fetus with a tiny magnetic field inside of mama's belly in this magnetic field, surrounded by all the organs, which are making their own magnetic fields, which is another matrix, surrounded by your mother's aura, which is another matrix. And each of these are like penetrative layers so that certain frequencies don't come in. And all of a sudden you're supposed to be human and now you're a werewolf or you're just disfigured. Like it's entrainment. And yeah, just you can go on and on about matrices. They're very fun.
Yeah, it's a big technology into itself, the positive or the negative matrices. So yeah, and yeah, so have you had like experiences with, because I like to program my DNA and the unfoldment of the evolution in using this device to amplify your programming and evolutionary direction?
So when it comes to programming, I really like doing it on the mat for bone marrow because it really helps to understand how the bone marrow gets charged. And I'm excited to share a dream that I had with you 2 nights ago. You're gonna think this tech is nuts, but anyway, so basically, your bone marrow, Chinese medicine, whatever way you look at it, brain like the brain matter, cerebral spinal fluid, bone marrow. These are some of the deepest layers of your body. They're in some of the most secluded areas and the most protected. Think of it from physical terms. But as we use the mat, we can use pulse electromagnetic field therapy. We can literally charge up our marrow, which is where we create new stem cells, which is where our future contracts are written. So we're essentially training future blood cells to go out and be our next version of us and to grow into what we want. And I do it on the mat a lot, just in training the blood, but also getting to understand. Because the cool thing about this technology, everyone, is that even if you don't know how it works, based on the laws of physics in this world, you're still going to feel it. You will feel it and you'll feel the benefits from it. But if you want to take that exoteric approach and kind of start understanding how it works mentally at the same time, it'll take you to new levels that you just never thought you would start thinking about, and the interconnectivity between things.
Nice, nice. I've also found it amplifies, like there's a term, mainstream term called ego death, which it doesn't really die, but it's like more of a purification, letting go of the isolated self-identity and merging the oneness of the universe and expansion of the heart and feeling one with everything in intense love. So it like amplifies ego death and purification when I was using it, and made it the heaviness that's held on in survival just go away very quickly with the survival mechanisms, and the kidneys and the adrenal glands just disperse, and then that also goes along with its hormone balancing. Anything you want to say on that?
Sure. So light body, plasma body. Well, let's talk about sympathetic body and parasympathetic body. Okay, so wherever there's a current flowing in your body, there's a magnetic field that travels around it. So these systems of our body try to gather intelligence, and we call them automatic systems. Like they're part of our automatic nervous system. And our ego is basically a holographic representational form of an automatic thought of ourselves. We don't have to think it. It's kind of automatically generated. And so that's why we get attached to this so easy, because the body's doing it automatically. And it loves doing things automatically because then it doesn't have to learn anything new. So, so breaking out of it, so we can get things to move around in the actual physical body. We can get things to reset, and we can get the ego to let go a little bit so they can, more soul can actually get back in and kind of update the ego into this newer firmware of who and what we are located in the universe.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it amplifies everything, and as we resolve the ego, allows more of the higher self to come in the body, because the lower self is freed up out of with its constraints and quarantining things like trapped emotions and trauma, and being in survival mode less and less and going into thriving.
Yes, I'd like to say one more thing, because like we have part of our light bodies, and it's all part of a compartmentalization program or decompartmentalization program based off of survival. And essentially the more that like soul we can get into our body, the more the parasympathetic and the sympathetic and our ego get connected to essentially, how would you call it? Basically connected to the internet. Like we're basically in an offline unit, like a little sub-server. And then we connect to like the solar astral cities, or we connect to a galactic astral city. That comes in and we get completely retuned. And then the ego has nothing to do but die and change. And then keep coming on. But our ego is our friend. Like that's the goal of this, is that it's something that we work with to help run through our lives so we don't have to do it all manually all the time.
True. Yeah. Yeah, make your ego your friend, get it to fall in love with you, give it love. Yeah, and it also helped me when I was going through emotional somatic releases and a bunch of trauma you build up and compress in the ego, alters to take care of later when you're more capable to handle it. And when a person grows enough to where they can handle it, the ego is like, okay, now it's safe to release. Sometimes it will like pretty accurately assess like if you're ready or not, and how much of a strain versus you might want to kill yourself if the amount of emotion you're holding on to is released at a wrong time.
Well, imagine this.
So this helps people feel safe enough and in a trusting space to let go, and let go faster. And then they have more energy because it costs energy to hold on to that. They get more free, and it's lighter, like take it off a big weight you've been holding your whole life, kind of thing, with emotional somatic releases.
Yeah. Imagine our spine as part of the compartmentalization program. And our spine, our spinal cord, our nerves, how isolated they are from other aspects of our body. And let's say a dream started in our heads, and that dream's goal is to go to the very end of the nervous synaptic so it can become realized and alive. But midway through that dream, doubt creeps in, and that dream world never comes to fruition, or it's like a hell thing that was there a long time ago. But all of a sudden, it's lodged in one of your nerves in a very isolated tunnel in the darkness. It's like what courage it takes to actually get that to come to fruition, or realize that you don't even want it in the first place and to make it back to the brain to get it out of that compartmentalization. And these can be holograms, these can be dream realms, these can be all sorts of memories that are just been fractionalized to either work through or just hold latent until the time's right, until the synchronicities occur. And just what does it take to bring it back to the brain so it can make it to the heart, or it can go with the fingers and make it to the heart. Either way, the destination's the same. It's just if it's going that way or that way.
And you said it was also the biofeedback. Does it have that thing that you put on the finger that scans the finger?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and the things it monitors?
Absolutely. So it's got the SPO2 sensor. So it's kind of it's just a little clip that goes on your finger, and it measures the blood oxygen in your finger. Don't let it confuse yourself with systematic blood oxygen. That will be cool, but this measures the blood oxygen in your finger, but it also measures your heart. And by doing so, it measures your heart rate variability. And then as it's doing that, it can step up the frequency or step up the intensity or lower it throughout the process to try to entrain better heart coherence. If anyone doesn't know what heart rate variability is, check it out. It's very special. It's essentially a form of communication that your body uses. And the more variation between your heartbeats, the space between them, the more rich that conversation is. If your heart beats like a Swiss clock on the same time, you're about to have a heart attack.
Okay. And what in my experience, especially with the pulses of the different light, it brought more light into my mind so that it was easier to see visions. And then I was able to kind of astral travel with it much easier. Do you have experiences with vision with it?
Yes. So again, bringing light into your eyes to see vision. But what you're bringing in is a frequency of the light spectrum and the frequency of how often it's operating. So as you entrain yourself to start understanding those frequencies of those lights, that's when your mind can start using them for creationary purposes or tune into things that are already there. So just like even me sometimes, like half the time my imagination is running parallel with our conversation, where I don't have to close my eyes to kind of envision something at the same time. Closing the eyes can help. I want to just tune this out. But the light tool, and I would say I've got a shitload better with some of these concepts over the 2 years that I've had this.
Nice.
Like,
yeah, I agree.
Tools, by the way, like I got this fancy dancy massage tool. It's like a Rapid Release Pro 3. It's like, man, like tools can just make your life so much easier.
True. Yeah, and the electromagnetic frequency made more releasal in the brain of attachment and heaviness that it's part of the big keys to allowing the third eye to open, which is it needs to feel safe to open. So yeah, definitely amplified visions for me. Do you know much about its interaction with the mitochondria?
Okay, so again, basically we're looking at the fact that the magnetic, maybe I should do a little background history, but how some of these mats were invented, First, there's a book on my shelf called the Electric Body, and they were basically trying to figure out how salamanders regenerate themselves. And they found out that at the tips of their fingers, there's a positive charge. And yada, yada, yada. A electrical engineer met up with an acupuncturist, and the acupuncturist was doing electrical stimulation. And essentially, the guy was like, why don't you use magnetic fields? He's like, oh, because when you use an electrical current, your body has all those forms of resistance. So let's say you have, a base energy of 50 at your skin. It goes through a muscle layer. Now it's 45. It hits this, it's 35. Hits your bone, it's down to 10. So it's hard to get a signal with electricity into your bones or your marrow or your DNA of your cells. But when you transform that into a magnetic field acts like wind. And it can literally go through every layer of your body. And it's going to penetrate every cellular wall of your body, which is where the nucleus of the cells are. And that's where, mitochondria is not in the nucleus, but it's inside the cell where you have a shitload of mitochondria, the powerhouse of your cell. And so that kind of ties back into half of our energy goes to maintain the electrical conductivity of the cell. So half of the energy goes to maintain the membrane. So if you take care of that, you take half the load off of the ATP production, and now your mitochondria, did you say mitochondria or mitochondria? And then now your mitochondria can start pumping up power for other things. And then they also have enough power to repair themselves or multiply themselves or whatever they do when they have enough energy to party.
Nice. Yeah. More energy, always better. Oh, wonderful. And you mentioned regeneration. I was just going to
talk about this.
Go ahead.
Because sometimes more energy, people don't want more energy. Because if we had more energy, we would be doing the things that we need to do. But sometimes people aren't ready to do their next thing. And that's why these mats are nice, because it gives you a very stable, it doesn't overload you. But just if all of a sudden you're shot up with a big thing of energy, the next difficulty in your life is going to be right at your door. And you're going to have to face it today, right now. That's what energy does. It brings the things to you. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to suck. You might shit the bed. But you also have the chance to go through the door to the next thing. So that's why some people are in a chronically energetically deficient state, because they don't want to go do the next thing because it's frightening or whatever it is. But I like energy. I love it.
Yeah, I love energy.
I like moving forward.
So you mentioned regeneration. I was just going to bring that up because there were settings on the mat that I used for regenerating the cells, the body, the systems. Can you talk a little more on that? You mentioned the salamanders. How do we regrow our limbs and be a salamander?
Hell yeah! So just like kids, like even adults. So like kids, if you cut off like the tip of their finger, they used to attach it back on, but now they don't, because it's going to regrow back. And that's because kids are full of energy and stem cells to be able to regrow themselves. But even some adults can regrow the tips of their fingers. If you have an issue with your liver can completely regenerate itself, because all the cells are exactly the same. And it's all about getting that's why the acupuncture meridians are at the tips of the fingers and toes. It's like, can you get that energy gradient to come out? Can you get something to go out of the very tip of the blood cell? Like, can it make it to the end? And that's where you get things like angiogenesis and you start growing new blood cells. It's having things go out all the way out into space, biological space, and then that's where the expansion occurs.
And what other types of healing modalities do you do and offer to people, by the way?
Okay, so just for people listening, like I offer distance acupuncture sessions, so light acupuncture sessions. That's for people far away. But people in Toronto, I offer my PEMF therapy. I study Chinese medicine and do licensed acupuncture. So it's definitely going to be an acupuncture session with PEMF therapy with some massage tools and probably some sound therapy. I'm usually using my tuning forks in my treatments. So there's lots of things if you're here, but there's also the distance.
Wonderful. Yeah, this is getting me psyched up. I'm itching to get another one of these PDF pulse
That's right,
electromagnetic.
PDF.
I need another one. So yeah, how you do deals to?
So yeah. So here's the thing, and if you get a mat through me, I'm gonna like get $500 off. So no one's gonna see, but all these things are kind of basically you get $500 off, and they're the same price on all the websites, no matter where you go because it's locked throughout the dealerships. But yeah, you $500 off and just start healing your
Nice.
body.
Yeah, just get one through you. I'm gonna have to go through you and get one. Thank you for to offer.
I'm gonna in the comments of the video, I'm gonna throw all my website, how you can contact me.
I put them in the description below as well, but feel the side in the comment point, you can just put that in if you want real quick. And so yeah, definitely go through this guy. You can get it cheaper, and he knows the types that are best to deal, and instead of all the fake, scammy ones. Can you talk a little bit about the scammy ones?
Again, like, so you got all sorts of different things. You have ones that don't have like a step down transducer from your wall energy, where you're just taking the 110. You have ones with small coils that don't even have a proper magnetic field. You have ones that even like slightly good ones, but they don't have good algorithms. They don't have variation in their waveforms, so they don't target the cells as well. So that's why it's important to just have a nice full body mat that's been made by a good company. And the IMRS is good because they've been in business for over 25 years or something like that. And most of these guys are fly-by-nighters who just mass produce it and just sell it on Temu or whatever chain they're sending it through.
Right. Wow. Yeah, I can't wait to get my own. So thank you so much for doing that. Can you plug all the ways people can reach you and get this? And like, is that link right below your name? Is that where people go? Or?
That's a website right there. Again, like on YouTube, I'm gonna put this in the comment. But yeah, it's right to type that in right under my name, Shawn Bibby, IMRSprime.com.
Sweet. And I think I'll also put
order $500 off, just so and that's American.
Yeah. And what are other ways people can reach you and the things you do and offer? And you're on Facebook, and what other media you're on?
Find me on Facebook. I have my Canadian website, myinfinitehealth.ca. That's where you can go to get light acupuncture bookings or just see what I'm doing.
Cool. Wonderful. Yeah. So hit him up, Adam. Do you have a YouTube or anything like that?
I do. You can search Shawn Bibby. Actually, I have some nice little videos, some random videos, and I have a really good video on the ghost points of acupuncture or Chinese medicine. If anyone's interested in Chinese medicine, I think you'll get it, or just mental health. You'll get a good kick out of that.
So yeah, subscribe to him. I'm Shawn Bond, founder of Psionic League, psionicleague.com. You can reach me for healing, clearing, depossession, unlock your dormant abilities, unlock abundance, all that kind of thing. I'll be at the Full Disclosure Now conference in July in Florida, and the Alien event Las Vegas. So look for those. I think in the description also there's a coupon code. And I'll be doing the sacred tour of unlocking your divinity in Mexico at a bunch of place power, pyramids, alien artifacts, hot springs, various healing places. So unlock your dormant abilities in that as we're doing Mystery School. Shawn might go as well. We're talking about it.
They're looking forward to Mexico.
Yeah, come hang out with us. And so any last words you want to leave the audience with? And thank you
Yeah,
guys for.
absolutely. Get an IMRS mat, start healing yourself, and go to Mexico because it's going to change your life.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, come join us.
It's going to be
And
fun.
I hope you all have a greater healing unfoldment in your world. Everything's speeding up to where you grow and achieve greater capability towards your greatest self, achieve all your goals. And subscribe to Sonic League and my other channels and Shawn to get more of supportive, empowering information to get you to where you need to be. Thank you all for coming. Love you all. See you later. Bye.
See you.